All right, so I think this is going to be live. If this is live, then this is the first live. Hello to everybody on the HamRadioConcepts podcast. I am KJ4YZI, and I'm not sure if this alerts you that we're live or if on the platform you're listening to or listening on has an option for that. I'm not sure. When I see somebody in the chat, then I'll know. But I'm down here in the Keys, Florida Keys. The last couple episodes, I was driving through the Keys and just talking about whatever, and said that when I get back to the hotel room and have nothing to do, I'll try a live one. So there's no road noise, and here I am on my phone, just using the actual app on the phone to go live. So it's telling me, if I just type a message here, let's see. See, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I got something to talk about, and at least I'll have a live one under my belt. But I just don't know where the live interaction comes from. That's new for me. So I did mention, first of all, here's a oopsie. A couple days ago, I had a episode. I mentioned that maybe we'll talk about the Icom 905, and I'm totally blind on this radio, meaning I haven't looked at it, I haven't watched any videos. It was just announced a couple days ago. It hasn't been released yet. But then I pulled it up on my iPad here a minute ago, and I'm like, oh, wow. Now I really, really want this. I had said it only did like 5.6 gigahertz and 10 gigahertz. No, this thing does 144 and 430 megahertz. That is VHF, UHF, all mode. And then it does 1200, 1.2 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, 5.6 gigahertz, and 10 gigahertz with an optional CX10G transverter RF module that's an accessory. But wow, I mean so much like the Icom 9700 was the twin to the Icom 7300. They look the same and they sat next to each other, and the 7300 does HF in 6 meters. The 9700 does VHF, UHF 1.2 gig, but they sat on top of each other or left to right. The same thing is with the Icom 705 and the Icom 905. You put these things together, you can work DC to daylight, man. I mean, you can go, wow, from 160 meters all the way to 10 gigahertz with both radios side by side. That is just incredible. It really is. So I'm looking at the official Icom pre-release information, and let's see. So it does, a separate configuration with the controller and RF module mounted directly onto the antenna. So basically, the way this works, let me give you a little bit of information on this, because I work on microwaves in the commercial world for a career. Okay, I don't work physically on a tower, but with the systems. And the way this works is, and actually down in the Keys we have some of these at 5.6 and 10 gigahertz. You got a lot of loss if you don't have the right cable, and usually they don't use cable. The antenna is usually affixed right to the RF module, the parabolic dish, because at 5.6 gigahertz and 10 gigahertz, even 2.4, it's pretty much line of sight. And I mean, this has to be they call it pathing. From one dish to another, that may be 3 or 4 miles, you got to path it. And you can have a microwave link go all the way across the country if you had microwave links point to point like that. But in ham radio, what could we use for that? Well, I'll give you an idea in a minute. But so what this optional CX10, and this is all right out of my you-know-what, because I'm looking at it right now and live and figured there'd be chatting going on, but I guess I have to invite people how to do this live. I'm not sure. So this is just another podcast for me, I guess. So the external module is an RF module, and the way this works is it uses like a LAN cable to go from the radio, all the way up the tower to the RF module, which is an additional accessory for 10 gigahertz. And then out of the RF module, directly out of there comes the antenna. That way, you don't have any line loss. Imagine putting at a half a watt, which is the maximum on 10 gigahertz on this radio, and that's a lot. A half a watt at 10 gigahertz is a lot, because if you stand in the middle of that, that could do bodily harm and heat and cook your tissues on the inside of your body. I mean, it does a lot. So there's no line loss because the Cat5 is going to go, the LAN cable is going to go from the radio all the way up the tower to the RF module, which is mounted on top, then maybe a tiny short piece of coax or just a direct connection right to the dish. So that's operating like the microwave that we use in my field. So from 5.6 to 10, what would you do with that, with this radio? Well, you could do stuff like, I think they do some stuff in moon mounts, EME moon bounce up at those higher frequencies. Again, extremely line of sight. You could do records. People do like from one mountaintop to another over 10 miles. They want to see, how much data they could throughput for that. It's very experimental when you get that high. And do you know what? That as a technician class operator, this 905, you can use every bit from 144 megahertz to 10 gigahertz as only a technician class. That's pretty cool. And I told you, Ham Radio Prep, my sponsors, if you use the code EricPodcast20, you save 20%. You can get a tech license and operate every single bit of frequency that this radio does. Pretty cool. So let's see. It also uses power over Ethernet technology so that you can install the RF module at the top of the tower. All right. So that is power over Ethernet to the top of the tower. So you can run it at 500 foot away and have zero loss because the signal only comes out of the RF module to the microwave. You probably need to look at what I'm talking about to see this. Let's just get down to basics here, okay? So they're going to announce, which they did at the Tokyo Ham Fair, August 20th, based on its super high. See, SHF. You have VHF, UHF. Now you have SHF. The Icom 905, VHF, UHF, SHF, SDR, software-defined radio. That is just amazing. Output power is 10 watts on 144 and 430 and 1200 megahertz. 2 watts on 2.4 gigahertz. 5.6 gigahertz is 2 watts as well, and a half a watt on 10 gigahertz. Large 4.3 inch color touchscreen LCD display. So that's like the 705. It looks identical. So I mean, it's got. You can send pictures over that. I mean, the amount of when you go higher in frequency, you get a wider bandwidth, right? So at 10 gigahertz, you could pass some serious data from one to the other. So I mean, you could, pictures, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just amazing what this thing will do. Looks like it's got an SD card slot, a LAN port, a LAN cable connector to the RF module, USB Type-C connector, CW jack, audio video input connector, audio video output connector, microphone connector. Wow, this thing is going to do a lot. The amount of things that you'd probably be able to do with this radio is amazing. Full D-Star functions, DD mode. If you're not familiar with DD mode, the ID one is, and the 9700 both did this. There's digital data. There's no voice. It's just strictly like 128 kilobits per second digital internet style right over radio and then out of your radio on Ethernet to your computer. But I'm sure at these frequencies at 10 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, you could do a lot more than 128 kilobits a second. I guarantee that. Amateur TV in the FM mode. Check this out. You want to bring amateur TV back? ATV has been out of commission for how many years? And this might actually do a lot for amateur TV. People will want to start doing this again. Wow, that is just a great job, Icom. And a lot of people are going to poo-poo this again because I remember, listen to this, as I say this live. And hopefully this is not breaking up. Hopefully it works live. I have no feedback so far if anybody's listening. So if you could do me a favor, just drop me an email at HamRadioConcepts@gmail.com. If in the next 5 minutes you tell me this is live and what's going on, I'll have to go back and listen to it myself. And also give me an idea on what happened on your end of the podcasting platform. Maybe I need to change something. I don't know. It'd be cool to interact with you guys while I'm doing this. So when the 9700 came out, all these people crapped on it. Oh, what are you going to do at 1.2 gigahertz? Oh, that's stupid. Oh, no, that radio is. This one might replace that 9700 as being my favorite radio of all time, or the one I miss the most. With the 905 being able to do all that and more at a lower power, but still, I've done a lot with 10 watts on VHF, UHF. I mean, there's amplifiers for those bands. It doesn't. You're not looking for 100 watts on 2.4 gigahertz here. You're looking for features and bandwidth and this kind of stuff in a radio that exists like this. Then the 705 came out. And when the 705 came out, everybody complained about this. There's no tuner in it. It's only 5 watts or 10 watts on battery, 5 watts of the internal battery. Who cares? I've worked the world on that thing on 10 watts. That's what makes it fun. And try to find a radio that does HF 6 meters, 2 meters, UHF, like that 705, with a touchscreen, SDR capable, the SDR platform, PC connectivity with just a USB cable, built-in sound card. I mean, wow. So people crapped on that. I guarantee people are going to crap on this Icom 905. Icom is pushing the limits. Their slogan for this, 905, let's aim ever higher. Well, nobody else is doing it. Nobody else made an SDR with 3 different PA decks with a waterfall at 100 watts on 2 meters, and so for the 9700. Nobody ever did that. And Icom did. And people crapped on it. Nobody's ever done a radio like this, ever. And Icom's done it. So I just can't see. It's not for everybody. I can tell you right now, it's not for everybody. I don't know why anybody would get angry. It's not for you. Big deal. Learn from it about what people are going to. There's people that are going to buy this. I want one. I don't know how much they're going to be. I'm going to guess it's going to be about $2,000. My guess is $2,000 for this radio when it first comes out. Sits at about $1,799 after that. That's my guess, because of what the 9700 came out at was about $2,000. But this is lower power, but more bands. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a $1,500 radio. I don't know. We're doing this right now live, and I chose to do this live because I know nothing about this radio. So I wanted this to be an authentic live here with me learning about it as we talk. So the Icom 905, as I look on my iPad, looks pretty awesome. If I look at one more website right here, well, there's already someone in here trying to sell one for 100,000 Chin? I don't know. Not Chin, Yen or Yuan? I don't know. Someone's trying to sell on this website they made, and I don't know. They're probably just seeing if somebody's actually going to be stupid enough to buy that. But it's not even out yet. I mean, come on. So, Icom 905. Not much information about it out there. I know a couple people had gotten information about from the Tokyo Ham Fair. And I'm looking at one more right here. It's just I gotta do a live stream real quick, or a YouTube video to talk about this, because it looks like it's gonna have a lot of stuff. Yep, cool. Well, I won't bore you anymore with me looking at it. Oh, look at that, an option antenna unit for a 10 gigahertz band. So it's actually no idea about price or availability on this antenna, but it looks like a cone style GPS antenna. Maybe an Omni antenna. I'm not sure, but 10 gigahertz is usually point to point. And wow, cool. So I won't bore you with that, because now I'm just excited about it looking at this live. But here, let's just read a couple of these comments that are on somebody's page here. Very interesting. I like amateur television, so would look into getting 2 of the Icom 9700s. So me and a club member could experiment with ATV, digital ATV, yes. Remember they had ATV, which was, back in the day on like analog, and now they're talking about digital amateur television because, well, yeah, the option exists, the ability exists. And the less familiar ham bands, 1.2 gigahertz and above. So that's cool, and yet it is not full duplex for satellite operators. So you got 1 negative, 2 negative, 3 negative, another negative. Icom 905, they forgot 220 megahertz. Well, because of the fact what they said on here is 220 and 903 megahertz. are only available in North and South America. But, I mean, so they targeted worldwide, not just a North American market, you know. So looks like there's all kinds of people that are trying to make blogs about this. No price tags. You know, I prefer old school seated at pants technology. Turn a knob, find your frequency, manually adjust your SWR, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so there's people pooping on it right now. But I'm excited about it. So back to the live stream. I want to thank everybody because this was just a shot in the dark. I don't care if this gets any ratings or anything. I just want to try it, and I thought, well, I don't want to be like, oh. So I want to have something to talk about. So thanks everybody for listening. I think I've already knocked out 3 or 4 podcasts since I've been down here in the Keys. A lot of people said, man, I'm getting emails now. Wow, I love the podcast and the road noise, and it just sounds like it's just you. It's just me. I'm just doing this with just talking. There's no scripting, never is, never will be. And I hope you enjoy it. So let me let this go and let you enjoy your evening, and I'll look for some feedback and see what happened. Did it alert you on your phone and see it's live? Did you get the option to chat? Did I miss the chat? Was I supposed to invite people to the chat? Not sure. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to just relax in the hotel and play along with my Icom ID52 here, the local repeater. Try to talk to a couple people and read more about this Icom 905. 7-3, everyone. KJ4YZI.